Masechta bava basra. Daf mem gimel aben aleph. We're starting from Mem Beis and Mem Beis. The last three words. So we learned that shutvin, partners, could testify for his friend. Lamashal, if somebody's ma'arer on his friend's chelik, right? So let's say the Reuben and Shimon who own a field together. Kumt Yehuda and sagt to Shimon, listen, this is not your chelik. It doesn't belong to you. It's mine. So Reuben, who had the field with Shimon till now, Reuben could testify for Shimon that it is his field. Umeiden zelazeh, the Shutvim could testify for one another. So why should he be able to testify? Why the Shmuel matter for Shutvim to testify one for another? L'cheira noigin be'idus and hein. They are negei be'idus. How? Because when two people own a field together, they own everything together. So if he takes away, even if he takes away half, so his friend has part of in the whole sada, he has part in the second half. So it's negei tzam. Is a negei be'idus. Over here, what are we talking about? We're talking about the possibility that the shutif, who is testifying for his friend, wrote a mashtar to his shutif, dinu dvarim mainly. Ich hab gar nicht mit this land. I don't want to have anything to do with this kaka. Meaning, he's giving it to him. I'll sell this on this field. It's too much headaches with this field. I give up my ownership. In fact, just because he writes, he's giving up his ownership. My have was the chilik. And over here he brings down that he should have used a different lashon. What was the lashon he wrote? He wanted to say he didn't give him over the property, so I would have he didn't give it to him. So it's why should it be good? That's what the Gemara is asking. Didn't want him only just because he wrote and he said words. Also, he doesn't lose his ownership. What's the difference if he wrote that he's giving over his ownership? Tanya, we learned in the Braisa, somebody who says to his friend, I have nothing to do with this field. That's on the Chaloshin, he says, I have no asik with this field. Says the Gemara, this hachraza is or yodim solakis hayimano. He says my hands are thrown up from it. I have nothing to do with it. Lo yamaklum. It means nothing. His chelik still belongs to him.
Why should we talk about chelik?
He has to be makneh to somebody. It calls money. He's still on him.
The way he talks is nothing.
There has to be more kinyan. It says so. You see, hachraza mainly doesn't help to remove himself from the shutfis. So it's not right, and it doesn't help him to remove himself from the shutfis. And the Gemara Hachma'iskin over here, it's talking about kishakana meyadi, that there was an actual kinyan, that the shutiv said dinu dvar mainly, right? So he was machris, and then he gave a kinyan suda. He says he goes to the shutiv here, take this kinyan suda, and in exchange, meaning the one who's being machzik now, the one who's staying in the field, gives his friend the suda, right? In exchange, he's kind of the whole thing.
The question is my house. So what's the news?
No, so the chiddush will be just because, even though he didn't use, he just said the words dinu dvarim mainly. So that's a lashon for the kinyan eichet. He's come to tell you, even though it's not. Dinu dvarim ainly. What's the lashon? Ainly eisik. Well, dinu dvarim ainly also the zoo, and he does a kinyan. He's coming to tell you that even such a lashon will help for a kinyan.
What's he going to say?
In fact, the Gemara v'chikon meyodim I have it. So just because the fact the Gemara, even if Hitaka was kind of from the shutiv, right, the part of the kaka, what's he's asking why should he be able to testify? Even though he gave away the field, so the chid is not in the Gebeidus, he has nothing to do with the field anymore. So what? So that's why he's allowed to testify for his friend that it belongs to him. Says the Gemara, no. Even if he gave him his part to him, and he says I have nothing to do with the field, he's still not going to be able to testify. Why? Because he is in the He's still in the Gebeidus. Not a shutter, but he's in the Gebeidus. How is he at the Gebeidus? Let's say he owes money to somebody, Abal Chayiv. He borrowed money from Yank. And now he owes Yank money, and he had this property with the shutter. And now Yankee comes for his money. He comes to Reuben, who gave up his field. So he says, Reuben, you have to pay me back. Reuben doesn't want to be called a Leiva Rosh Yishalom, like the Torah says. He doesn't want to have that name. So now he has a karka from where Yankee could collect the money from, because when he did the halva, it was before he gave up his chelik from the field. So the chayil is in the Gebeidus. He wants it should go to him, but his
friend is going to lose.
that Yankee, he's not going to be called a Leiva Rasha.
But his friend was going to lose the field.
He never bought it. He gave it away. He gave it away just to be able to say this for him. He's more than happy.
The guy is able to.
They are partners, but he gave away his field. He said, he wants to give.
His chelik.
He gave away his chelik in the ownership. So his chelik could pay back Yankee, the Malva who lent the money.
Because he still
The
has a
person that he
chelik.
gave him a tana is going to lose.
He's going to lose. Al-Samatani, yeah, he's going to lose. Yes, so. But Pale Mamish, he's in the Gebeidus.
And the guy that he borrowed money from him, he could come and pick up from him.
They come pick up from the half a soda that he owned before. Says the Gemara, the Amar Rabbi Bar Shmuel, and the Gemara brings a raya to the Taina that he's considered as in the Gebeidus. Where do we see it? Rabbi Bar Shmuel said, "Mishmei de Shmuel, Amei Chesed leChavei Shalei ba'Achroyus." If somebody sells now, the Reuben sells to Shimon a field, and he says, "I take no guarantees with this. Anything that happens, I'm not responsible. I have zero responsibility." And now somebody's coming to be ma'ara to take away the field, is saying that this guy who sold it to you, he stole it. So now he takes no responsibility. Ein meyid lo yalai. He can't testify for the guy who, the moiche cannot testify for the lekeich that it belongs to him. Why? Mepnei shemamida b'fnei ba'al chayvei. Because he's a negei be'edus. Because if he owed a malva money, and then he sold the field, so that field is mishubah to the malva, and he doesn't want to be a leiva rosh v'lo yishalim, so he's more than happy to testify, but he's in the negei be'edus. So that's why he cannot testify. Over here, it's talking about the couple of achrayas, that he accepted responsibility. So b'manavshach, he's always going to be called a leiva rosh v'lo yishalim. If he accepted responsibility, and this guy, the field who he sold to is going to be taken away, so now he owes this guy money. And if he can't testify, it's going to be taken away, and it's going to be taken away from him. So I'm sorry, if it's not going to be taken away from him, then he owes the old malva. So Mimanushach, he's going to be a leiva rosh v'lo yishalim. So he's not in the Gebeidus.
We had about tarumas, right? The person doesn't want to have kindness to that person.
That's something else. Here we're talking about leiva rosh v'lo yishalim. He borrowed money, and he doesn't pay. He doesn't want to be under that gather of a leiva rosh. So it says the Gemara, if he sold. We asked the question. If first we brought a raya that he's in the Gebeidus. What was the case that he was in the Gebeidus? That a person sold his field without responsibilities. That if this field gets taken away, he doesn't have to pay him back. So now the Meicha wants to testify for the Lekeach that the field belongs to him, and because the Ma'ara is saying that the Meicha is a ganef. So the Meicha wants to testify. We don't let the Meicha testify because he's negei be'edus. How is he negei be'edus? Because the Meicha wants that the Malva who he borrowed from should be able to collect from that field where there's a shibud on it. And so the Gemara answered, no, we could say he's not going to be in the Geba Doba. How? And the Gemara that he took achrayas for the Lekeach. He said for the guy who he sold the karka to, he took responsibility. So either way, he's going to be a leiva rasha. It's either the malva or this guy. If they take away the field, he has to pay him back. In fact, achrayas is the man. What kind of for whom did he take? What kind of responsibility did he take? If you're going to say he took achrayas on himself again any tviyah. Somebody will be mad with any tviyah to try to take away the field. He took such a achrayus. In fact, you want a kosher the nichalei. For sure, he's a negei be'edus. Of course, he wants to testify for the lekeach because now he's a direct negei be'edus. If they take it away from the lekeach says, "You sold me a lemon. Give me my money." So he's mamish negei be'edus. Says, you're right. Achrayus is the aslem achamose. It means not a direct. It means achrayus a shibut that he borrowed from the malva early on before he sold his field, and now he wasn't able to pay back the malva. So if he wasn't able to pay back the malva, then the malva will come and collect from the chassid. So that's how he's a negei be'edus.
And there he's
It's
responsible.
Then
He says he's Meshubit.
so that's why he cannot testify for the lekeach because he's a negei be'edus. In fact, is it even if the shooter was misalik himself from the field? Me mistalik is he then considered he has nothing to do with the field? We have to be concerned that maybe there's a knunya that he made a trick. He says, "Look, I'm going to give away my part of the field to you, so I can now testify for you. And once I testify for you that the field will stay by you, you'll give me back my half because you needed me to testify for you. But if I still kept my half, I'm a negei be'edus. So maybe we should be afraid of a kedunya that he really is here. He gave it like he made a trick under the table. Look, I'll give you my chelek, so I shouldn't be in a negei be'edus. So I could testify for you that your field is yours. And später, after you have the whole field, give me tzedek my chelek. I did a good job for you. And what do we see? We have to be afraid of kedunya. Vatanya, and the Chilant Nabraisa, B'nei Ish, and Nignav Sefer Torah Shalom. If the B'nei Ir that a Sefer Torah was stolen from them, Ein Donim B'Dayonim Yisayir, the Dayonim of that city cannot be the judges of testifying against the person. The person says he bought the Sefer Torah, and the B'nei Ir say that he stole it. So you can't use the Dayonim from that city to say that he stole it. Because then they gave it up. And you can't use the Eidim from that city. Because then they gave Eidus. Because the whole Bnei Yair shoot him in the Sefer Torah. So they're all the gave Eidus. The Im Isa, but if you want, like we could say, like we said before, let two of the Bnei Yair throw sich up from the Chelek, from the Sefer Torah. They'll say, Dinut vonim ainly be Sefer Torah hazeh. They'll do it with a king and suda, that they'll accept the king and suda in exchange for their halakim that they have in the Sefer Torah. But let Daino and let them be dayanim. If by accepting a suda from the Bnei Yair, from the Gaboyim, that they're giving up their halakim. They have no shaykhs. Before everybody chipped in. Rabbi Shem made a Sefer Torah, everybody in the shul gave. But if I don't want to have a chelik, I told Rabbi Shem, give me a suda, I'm giving up my chelik, and I don't have a chelik in that Torah. You could, so he gave me a suda chelik, that dayanim. Huh? You could listen. No, you could. Wait, you're jumping. The Gemara is going to talk about that soon. Let Daino. And let them say, is that ayah that you're afraid of kedunya. You're afraid of the trickery. Says the Gemara, shiny Sefer Torah. The Sefer Torah is different. The Sefer Torah doesn't have to be, you have shares in it. Everybody has to live. There's one Sefer Torah in Shtad. You have to hear, everybody's a negei be'edus. If he's going to say he's the koine, he can walk over the Sefer Torah, and the Bnei Yair don't have a Sefer Torah to be able to hear it. So everybody is considered negei be'edus. Mitzvah lav lehanis nitnu. Even though mitzvahs are not made to have pleasure, but such a time, you need to hear. You want to be yaitz in the mitzvah. So if you want to be yaitz in the mitzvah, you're liable to lie because you want to be able to fulfill the mitzvah, and this guy is grabbing it for you.
So for mitzvah, you're allowed to lie. So even though
They might think so.
It's okay in business.
Okay. And then the Lishmiya Kai, there's a Yes angle on this. When it gets to Shnai Mikveh Targum, if you listen to the case HaTorah, is it considered as being Mavad Seder once because you heard the Psukim once? So the Rabbi Yisrael says no, because here the mitzvah is Shmiya. And Shnaim Mikveh Tragum is Kriya. You have to read it, so it's not the same. But so he says no. You have to. There's a mitzvah of reading it, and that's why you cannot be yoitzer. Huh? Not everybody agrees. It's emes. You're right. You're right. So the Yimada.
He says together with the Bokoida.
Huh? Oh yeah, that's it. So you're reading it. Yeah, it's Shnaim Mikveh. Then, if there was another Sefer Torah there, they bring down on the bottom. If there was another Sefer Torah in the city, so he could hear from the other Sefer Torah, so he's not going to be a Nagei Be'edus. And even if he would hear it from that Sefer Torah, but since he was able to hear from the other Sefer Torah, it's not considered as Nagei Be'edus. Okay, Tashma, come in here. I'll bring you a raya from the Braisa. It says, give 100 zuz from the Nichsei. He says, give for mine nechasim for the people of the city, for whatever is needed. And the Yerushalayim come and said, what the father was a shchibmera, and he was lying in his deathbed, and he said to give for the city, for whatever the city needs. The father, and he was about to die, and the Yerushalayim comes and said, we want our money back. It's not true. Ain't done with the Dayanim of that city cannot testify because they have a netiyah to grab as much money as you could to make the city a better city. Sure. And you cannot use the Eidim of that city to testify that the Shchibana said it because then they gave Eidus. It's a Eidim being right. Why not? Lisalku b'nei trei nafshayu. Let two of the b'nei Yair be mesalik the chelek from this matana and say that they're not going to take part in that matana. V'ledainu. So they'll make it like a neder. From this guy's money, we're not going to have a no. And let them say and let them be the judges. Nazaraya that we're chesed for knunya, that they're going to come to light. Hachanam is they want to know. Hachanam is Sefer Torah. Here he said to give money towards a Sefer Torah. So if he said give money towards a Sefer Torah, even if it's uptragen from their chelek or from the matana that he gave, but they want to hear the Shmiya Sefer Torah. They want to hear. So, and if he doesn't give his chelek, they won't be able to have a Sefer Torah.
Anything else that's negayed the rabbin can be the same.
It doesn't have to be a Sefer Torah. Anything that's negayed that the rabbin needs to hear any mitzvah. So then it's the same. It's just one example he's giving you. You're right. He says it on the bottom. Okay. So Gemara Tashma, coming here, and I'll bring you a raya from another raya. That a shchibana that says mana laniye idi, give $100 for the aniyim of this city. The shchibana said it to the netziga of the kol, the vada kol. Yeah, and he said give $100. The shchibana says he has money from his property. Give it to the aniyah here. It's like my father gave, I don't remember, 150 or 200,000 for the shluchim. We should have been ma'arid, so he never said it. No, I say, but he gave it. He gave it already. We couldn't take it back. Too late.
Wait,
So,
you want Trish's money?
no, he was afraid we wouldn't give it. So he gave it himself. So Toshma. No, yeah. Give $100 to the Aniyah Ide. He says the Shchibana. Ain't done with the Dayanim Esair. The Dayanim of that city cannot testify against the Yoshim. The Yoshim say, our father never said it, he never gave it. They cannot testify because they're Nagaya. They gave it.
It says he didn't give it yet.
Right, so that's what they're fighting. And you cannot bring Edis from the city of that city because the people of that city are Nagay Edis. They want the money for the Anim or they'll have to foot the bill. So first of all, the fact is it then reasonable to say so? Aniyim shakli, the Aniyim take the money. The Dayanim pasli. The Dayanim who are not Aniyim should become pasul. What does that have to do with the Dayanim? If the Dayanim themselves were Aniyim, verstehen them, they gave yeah.
They don't have a direct.
They have a shul, they have a business, they have everything going on. Yeah. Ema says, he says that the Dayane Aniyah Isair, if it's Dayanim who are Aniyim, so then they gave this. They cannot be the judges. You cannot take two witnesses who are aniyim from that city because it's negay to them. They want their father's money. Thank you. What about my? Listalku beitrei nafshai ledaino.
Same idea.
So the same thing. Let the dayanim, two dayanim come and say to the netziga call to the bada call, the aniyim, we won't touch this money. We'll be dayanim. Don't give us this money. Nevertheless, we don't allow them because maybe they're making a cahoots with the vada call. They'll say, we won't be negay beidus over here. We won't touch his money, but you'll give us other money from the side, from the back, so we can make up for it. That our losses. Anyway, so you see, you're choishet for knunya. So no, it's nicht geraya. We're not choishet for knunya. Hachanami sefer Torah. Here we're talking about that the shchit merah, he gave for the aniyah means for sefer Torah. In fact, the mother of Michael aniyim. If he gave towards the sefer Torah, what do you say? He's giving for aniyim. What's hot slam with aniyim? And from the mother the hakol it's the sefer Torah aniyim. Everybody's considered b'lagabe a sefer Torah as aniyim, because if they need a sefer Torah in the start to be able to listen, and if it's not going to be there, that constitutes the inyan or the title aniyim for those people who are unable to listen to sefer Torah because the guy didn't give already the money to be able to buy it. If you want, I can tell you, really, it's talking about that the Ayanim are wealthy people. And who did he give the money to? Aniyim Mamish. The money he donated for Aniyim and not for Sefer Torah. Ubaniyeh the Rama Alayu. And here we're talking about Aniyim, that the achrayus to support the Aniyim is on the whole Bnei Yair. So when the Shchit Merah would give money, so he would dampen or make it easier for the Bnei Yair not to have to give so much for the Aniyim. Because we'll use the Shchit Merah's money too, so that will make not everybody will have to. Not everybody's chedek won't be so big. What's the case talking about? If it's a set amount that everybody has to give, so it says to the aniyim leisu beitrei menayim the kitzlo. He says, you know what? These guys will not be off the hook. They'll give right away what their chedek is supposed to be. Everybody else will have enough from what he gave. They'll deduct or whatever. They'll give their chelik. So we'll let I know and let them do and let them be the dayanim. And the Gemara over here, it's talking about the loy kitzlo. There wasn't no set amount that everybody gives. It varies, and it goes according to what the aniyim need. So there's no set amount that you can prove. Okay, let them. There's no such a thing. So it says the Gemara. So since there's no specific amount. Each time it goes according to what they need. Kozman, there's money in the kupa for the aniyim. Nobody has to pay. So you see, everybody gains if this Shchit Merah's money will be in the pot, because they only give when there's no money in the pot. Then they start contributing. Not that there's a set tax that you have to give every year. If you want, I can tell you Leilam the Kitzlo. Really, we're talking about that there was a set tax for everybody. But Benichlu, nevertheless, the Ashirei Ir benefit from it anyway. The Kiman, the Ravach, as long as there's still money, a lot of money in the kuppah, you're not going to come and say, give. If there's money in the kuppah, you don't start fetching people. There's still money, so they gain it for the future. That's why the Dayanim cannot say, okay, there's no way. That's why the Dayanim cannot testify, because then they gave Edus, because they're going to say he should give. He's going to want the Shchit Merah to give. Yeah, but if the Shchit Merah gave a nice sum, they don't have to give right away. If there's still money in the box, they gain out of it. So then they gave Edus. It says in the Mishnah, Venas in Shomer. We're talking about this. The Shchit Merah was a volunteer. The Shchit Merah's money?
No. They don't want, they want to take the
They want to be Edus, but we say that then they gave Edus. Because they gain by testifying on the Shchit Merah, or Dayan the same thing, they're Nageya. They're Nageya because they gain in the future.
Price, everybody has to give a set price. So he also has to give this guy.
Yeah, but the set price is based on when the push gets empty, then we come, everybody pay your taxes. But as long as there's money in the kupa, and if the Shchimara gave him more money,
don't have to press the
we
money.
won't have to press the people to give the taxes.
You need for other things. You
So
have
everybody.
money, you have money, everybody
Yeah.
feels good, there's money in
Okay, here we're talking about for the Aniyim. It was designated for the Aniyim. So we learned in the Mishnah, Menasin, Shoimrei Sacha, Zelazeh. And they became Hashem Sacha for each other. How? L'cheira, I'm watching your part of my, I'm watching
Part of the field.
part of the field with your items, and you're watching your half of the field with my items. We're shutfim and everything. So since I'm scratching your back and you're scratching my back, so we're considered as Shemes Sacha. Like it says Shmei Li B'Ash Melach, here it's happening simultaneously. I have whatever's on my side, I'll watch. Whatever's on your side, whatever items are on your side, you'll watch. We're shutfim and everything. So therefore we consider Hashem Sacha. Why should he have to pay like Hashem Sacha, which is Chai B'Gneva B'Aveda? Amai Shmina B'Bailami. We learned if the Bailam are working,
Together.
if the owner is there at the time when you're doing the Shmira, he's doing work for you, you don't have to pay anything. That's Taka said by Shoyel. But we learn now Shema Sachaf and Shoyel because the Lashon Vechi Yishal, the Vav is Meisif the Pasha HaKoidem, the previous Pasha which talks about Shema Sacha, that a Shema Sacha has the same din as a Shoyel, that if the Balabayas is there working while you're doing the Shmira, then you're Potter. Our Papa is talking about, no, it's not that they were both watching simultaneously. The Amali Shmeili Hayoim. He says, you watch the whole field today, the whole field, and tomorrow I will watch the whole field with all the items in it. So the Bailam weren't there in the same time. If they were both watching their half, then it's considered the Bailam Shmir and the Bailam isn't there. But here we're talking about that's not the condition that they made between each other. One guy said, this week you watch the whole field. Next week I'll watch the whole field. So that's not. So then it's stolen. You're a regular Shema Sacha and there's no Bailam with you. If a person sold his friend a house or he sold his friend a field, Ein Meid Lo Yala. The Meicha is not permitted to testify on the seller cannot testify that it belongs to the buyer. Mipnei sha'achara yusei alav, because if they'll take it away from the buyer, he'll be directly responsible. So he has an atiyah to testify with another aid that it belongs to the buyer. So he's a negei be'edus. But but what's if he sold him a cow or he sold him a garment? Meyit lo yala. There he could testify for the buyer with another aid that it belongs to the buyer. The moiche the seller could testify that he bought it. The seller could testify with another aid that he bought it, and in the, right. When it comes to a potter and or talis, he didn't take any achrayas. It's metaltal. Yeah. What's the difference between the reish and the sefer? He says both of them should be considered as if we took achrayas. Are you going to want to say he wrote stam and he didn't write with achrayas? By kaka we say ta'os sefer. It's a mistake from the sefer because when you're selling kaka, it comes with a guarantee. It has to be with a guarantee written in it, so it's considered as the guarantee is written in it. So the Rabbeinu Yonah says even by movable items, if he sold him something that's not his. So he says, "This is mamish a thief. He sold him something that he sold him the Brooklyn Bridge. So of course he has to sell him with some type of achrayas. So why should there be any difference between karka or metaltalit? And the Gemara Rav Sheshes says the Reisha is talking about Reuven Shagazel Sat Meshimin Umechara Lelevi. Reuven had stolen a field from Shimon, and he sold it to Levi. The Asa Yehuda the Kamara, And Yehuda, outsider, came and said that Reuben stole it from him, from Yehuda. Shimon says Reuben stole it from him. And Yehuda came from the outside and he comes with Edom and he says, this Reuben, he stole it from me, and whatever you have, Levi, really belongs to me. So now, Shimon, the Lezel Shimon La'asid Levi. Now, Shimon, who Tained already from before that he is the original owner, and Reuben stole it from him, he cannot testify against Yehuda that Yehuda is Mamish HaGazlan. He came from the woods over there, and he's saying that, from the woodwork, and he's saying that he is the original owner. So Shimon cannot testify. Why? The Nichalei, the Hada. Shimon wants that the field should go back to Levi. Why does he want it to go back to Levi? Because he rather that Levi will have the fields. For him, it's easier to take it out of Levi than from Yehuda. If it goes to Yehuda, he'll have a hard time. Yehuda's a tough cookie. So the Gemara,
we had the idea before also.
yes. So the Gemara, even the Asid Levi, the Levi who says the Gemara, if Shimon is going to testify that it belongs to Levi, how is Shimon ever going to get it out of Levi? When it comes to a chayiv, and somebody's mechayiv himself that he says he owes somebody money, he does baldin meya Edom dami. So even if he's going to bring Edom later on that it belonged to him originally, but he was made that it belongs to Levi, as Bechal Afilu Nishtei gave Edom here, because he's never going to get it back. Says Gemara, that's not what he's going to testify. The Omah, he testifies like this: Yadaina the high ara the love the Yehudi. He knows that it's not Yehuda. He's not saying who's the Baal HaSoda. He's saying it's for sure not Yehuda. And he's going to prove that the Edom or the Shtoris that Yehuda will bring him with somebody else. Shimon wants to come with another Ed and prove that the Edom zijn Gazlonim or the Shtoris zijn falsch. But not that he's not going to say that Levi is the owner. He's just going to say Yehuda is not the original owner. So therefore, you can come back later and come with Edom once Levi has it and show that he was the real original owner. So with these tainas that Reuben, I'm sorry, that Shimon is going to come against Levi, let it go to Yehuda and Lipka Yehuda. Let him use the same tainas that he was going to take it out of Levi. Let him take it out of Yehuda. Says the Gemara, the Amma, Shimon says to himself, Hasheni, meaning Levi, no yakli, as gringa from it's a kenaris namemein kaka. Harishain, the Yehuda, kosher yemena, zasach shveret hanlen. It's much harder to deal with. And the Ibai saying, if you want, I could tell you a different teretz. It's talking about that Shimon has Eidos that he is the original owner. And Yehuda has Eidos that he is the original owner. The Omer Rabbanan, in such a case, if he would come to Yehuda, take him. If Yehuda was sitting on the field, and Yehuda had Eidos, and Shimon had Eidos, it would stay in Yehuda's field. So he says, I don't want to go against Yehuda, who has false Eidos saying that he's the original owner. I'd rather testify that it belongs to Levi against Yehuda, and then when Levi has the karka, Levi doesn't have Eidos. I have Eidos, I'm the original owner, so I'll get it. But if I have to go against Yehuda, who Yehuda is bringing Eidos that he's the original owner, I'll never get it. Yeah. Stop.